One, and I believe we're recording. Okay, we're now recording. Okay, so my name's Vonley Joseph. For those of you who've not met me before, I'm known as the sales scientist in the industry. I've been in sales since I was 16 years old. That time in sales, I've experienced everything from business to business, business to consumer. I've worked in the public, third sector, right across the board. And some years ago, I decided to go back to university. My early days were not from a university background. They were very much on the grassroots, going out in the field and learning the profession of selling. And potentially after probably about 17, 18 years, I was locked at sales, and I saw that most of the scholars and academics in sales had never sold before. And yet still we were reading these books, and don't get me wrong, people like Neil Rackham and Jeff Lancaster and the likes, they're wonderful people. They do very, very good research. But the fact that they've never sold practically before somewhat concerned me, because some of the things they were saying was great, and some of the things they were saying was like, oh, well, perhaps that's not it, because I've done it this way and I can do it better. All right. And it's like, well, you know, so I started looking at some of the approaches of academia, and then I started realizing, hold on, sales isn't really promoted in universities. Why is that? Then I looked at schools, I looked at colleges, and I said, sales isn't promoted. Yet still, it's a high-end profession. And then I started looking at people's views and their perceptions of selling. And obviously, over the years, being in sales, you find people got quite a negative perception, because 95% of the industry is doing it wrong. It's only probably 5% of the millions of salespeople out there doing it correctly. So that was a concern to me. So I started delving down deeper, and then I went and I studied. I didn't have any qualifications. I was a bit of a vagabond at school as well, so I came out without any qualifications whatsoever. And they put me on. So I wanted to do the degree, and I was pretty peeved when they didn't give me the degree. I had to go on a HND as a mature student in marketing and business. And while I was going through that marketing and business, I started to realize, whoa, and I started to challenge a lot of scholars, and I started finding a lot of my grades were kind of getting D's and E's and F's. You know, I didn't even know what an E was until I had to go and challenge the tutor, and I said, what's an E? He said, well, you failed. I said, well, just give me an F. You know, it's one of them sort of thing. I think he just wanted to insult my integrity, really. And I soon learned to shut my mouth and get on in the world of academia, and started to realize very quickly that graduates were being failed in terms of what was being delivered inside the institutions. I think universities stand a great place, but I found they were being failed. So from there, I really set my mind to do something and utilize my profession to do that. I also work in the inner cities. I deal with everybody from young gangsters to right up to CEOs in the City of London. And believe you me, you'd be surprised at the similarities there is to boards of the City of London to the young gangsters off the street. I'd probably say some of the board members in the City of London are a bit more gang-like than some of the people on the street, believe you me. You'd be surprised what comes out of their mouths. So my urge then was to really press on and really put something together that could introduce sales as a profession. You'll find most sales out there now, the teachings are, it's mainly corporates that is based on, and you know, a lot of the corporates, they're kind of stuck in their ways. They're quite rigid in their approach. And so I decided, well, how do you bring it to the micro SME market and to the grassroots and get people to really engage with the profession and really understand it's a beautiful career. So me and a gentleman called Dr. Andrew Ray, we set up the Society of Sales Innovation some years ago. It's a cooperative. As far as we're aware, it's the only cooperative in the world, sales cooperative in the world. We have yet to find another, and if we do, it'd be fantastic, because we look forward to meeting them. We're not one that believes that we have to position as a monopoly in the market. We're always looking to work in collaboration. The focus of us, you can go on the website, it's sosinnovation.org. I'll make sure Red Agents, who we're working in partnership with, I believe you guys have come through the Red Agents channel. We do have partners that bring in people who generally work with us as partnerships or associates or sales leaders to bring people in, and we link them into different professions, either it be enterprise, education, or employment, such as yourselves. And the focus of the co-op really is to professionalize the industry. but not just to professionalize the industry, but also to bring sales to the grassroots, to be taught at the grassroots level. So from entrepreneurs to people that want to build up careers, and people to understand to do sales in a professional way. But at the same time, to remove people out of impoverishment. You'll find, particularly where we promote diversity, a lot of the graduates who are unemployed within the inner cities have gone, they've studied, they've put their hearts and souls into getting their degrees, and they're not able to obtain the professions they want, and more importantly, not able to obtain the incomes that they want. And you know, I generally put a challenge to individuals when they come in to say, well, if you want to earn 40 to 50,000 a year in your first year or second year in work, how many professions can provide that? Okay, and you know, and I would urge you to go out there and have a look at the industries and see what can really provide it. Generally, entry-level graduates, you're coming in at probably 22, 24 tops. If you're lucky, you may open up at 30. Oxford, Cambridge, those sort of institutions, they've got a long history of working with organizations, and the graduates tend to come out and get the cream of the jobs. And something that I realized, I looked at their models and I said, right, and we need to challenge that. So we thought, right, let's put together a graduate scheme. It's really called the Elite Graduate Scheme, because we're looking to turn people into elite sales professionals. It's not easy. You're gonna, those of you who get on board will find you're gonna run the gauntlet, and I'll touch into that a little bit later. But at the end of it, you will get what you want to achieve. We work with you on the personal development side, very much so. And even after we place you, we continue to work with you. We don't work like normal recruitment agencies, because we don't see ourselves as a recruitment agency, although we do support employers who be part of the co-op as well. We are more human-centered. We work with you to develop your career for the long term. And i.e., if you go into a job role and we build you up over a couple of years, you know, you're a much more seasoned professional. We're able to move you on, and excuse my language, but sell you on for a much better price. And that's the key, really. And the more we develop you with that, the more we develop your career, the more we develop ourselves. And that money then comes back in to regenerate sales professionals, not just here, but around the world, and graduates around the world, particularly for this program. It would be graduates around the world. And we've currently got lines in the Caribbean and Africa. We're negotiating lines in India. So we're really looking to open that up, especially with the people working from home remotely. That's really opened up the market for us in a big way. And I'll touch a little bit on that later. So that's the background of the co-op. You know, you'll get the links to go online and read it. I'm not going to talk too much about myself. You can go on LinkedIn and find out more about me, or I'm happy to have a discussion with you to go into more detail. But I'm not one that really talks about myself. I'd rather let the work talk for itself. And there's testimonials on the website of SOS Innovation. As soon as you land there, don't listen to me, listen to them, listen to their story, listen to their journey. That's the best way I find. And the reason why we videoed it, because it's easy to put up a testimonial in writing, but when you see someone doing it visually, you kind of get it. And we do have an award ceremony where we look to support the champions who have come through. It doesn't mean that those who haven't been award winners are any less successful. We just have to pick the cream of the crop. And so that's when we do that. Generally, we were doing it once a year. With COVID, potentially, we're going to look at bringing it back this year, but maybe the next. And we generally have it in November. So we're waiting to see how that happens. And that's generally done in the City of London. So like I said, it's people-centered recruitment. And what is people-centered recruitment? People-centered recruitment is not working like a normal recruitment arm to place you into a vacancy, but whilst you're in the vacancy, developing you and coaching you to develop your skills and your knowledge and your competence. All right, because from our research that we put out amongst the market, graduates, when they left, they had all the academic theory, but they didn't have the practical. And the issue was, how does that work? So, you know, one of the businesses I have is a vocational college, as you'll see the logo here, Global Educations. We support the training for the co-op. And it's mainly vocational. Vocational says it's practical and you apply theory to it. So you need to be in the job to be developing the skills. Unfortunately, what happens when we go to university, we get a lot of theory, we get a lot of these scholars, a lot of them are outdated. And then we come out and we want to apply these models and realize they're out of date. So then you kind of have to apply your own style and put your spin on it. And I'm not saying that the scholars of the past haven't been effective for their time, and there's a story there to tell. But where we are now, especially where society is moving so much more faster, it's so much more difficult to be able to say, I'm going to come out, I'm going to apply that in an organization and build myself a career. So what you'll find is, especially in the sales industry, the fact that sales is more or less non-existent, the lack of career promotion is pretty much non-existent in universities. And if they do, they're promoting it in a way that's quite lackluster. And it really doesn't emphasize the specialists in sales. And I always say to people, if I was to go to a lawyer and represent myself, would I want an unqualified lawyer? If I was to go to a physician and represent myself, would I want an unqualified physician? Yet still, in such a heightened neuroscientific profession like sales, and when there's a lot of psychology, people seem to think they can just get into the job and learn it as it goes along without actually recognizing that it's a profession. All right. And, you know, within that profession, one needs to take it seriously. And you've got a lot of what I call also rans in the industry that they work by instinct. So if they roll out things, and if it works, it sticks, they continue with it. If it doesn't work, they put it down. But when I was managing sales teams, and I'd say to certain individuals, especially the ones with the biggest egos, you always find the ones with the biggest egos are generally ones who are making the most sales. And I'd say to them, how did you produce that sale? What was the psychological process that you took those individuals through? They couldn't explain. And I'd say, well, they would say to me, well, I got the deal. What's the problem? I'm getting deals. I'm getting deals. But how are you getting the deals? What's the process you're taking them through? Using opening questions, closing questions, statement questions, right angle questions, alternative questions. What is it that you're doing to make that sale happen? And they couldn't explain it. So when their sales dip, and you do have dips in sales in your performance, it was some people, I'd say probably 70% of them find it very difficult to come back. And probably 20 to probably 30% actually then go and learn the art in a very specific way. A lot of the rest just fall out and find other companies to bounce around. And one of the key areas why we've got in, because a lot of our members are sales companies, and you'll find their churn rates are going through the roof, especially at entry-level graduate stage. And why are those churn rates going through the roof? Because the market at the moment doesn't really tune the attitude of a graduate into wanting sales as a profession. 9 times out of 10, they're looking at the wage, and I could do that job until I can find the ideal job I want. Right? You know, they're not looking at it as a career. And my job today is to sell sales to you. So I'm selling sales, all right, which sounds a bit ironic, isn't it? All right. And I'm selling sales to you that you can develop a career, profession, and earn a serious amount of money. I mean, money that you've never dreamed of, from you take it seriously. And when you take it seriously, you'll find very few industries compared to this profession. And it's unlimited incomes. Now it's a lot of salary based. In my time, sales was very much driven by commission. Right? You didn't have salaries. And I started back in the 80s, and you know, it was about really commission. You did it. You were your own man in a sense, really. You did everything, your administration, the whole 9 yards. And I bring some of that skill, and I'll touch on that just a bit later, what I'm looking to do with yourself. So I say to you, no matter what your salaries are, always look at that as expenses and focus on your commission. What can I do with my commission? How can I generate more income from my commission? And we'll show you how to measure and set targets for yourself. We do a financial program, which I'll touch on a bit later as well. So let me bring you up to the speed. There's a bit of background why we come about. So let me bring you up to speed with the present. Millennials versus traditional. Millennials, young people out there today, what is sales? A lot of demos. You look online, a lot of companies, especially the stuff, it's all demo. Line them up every half hour, back to back, repetition. And numbers. You know, whoever told you the sales profession is about numbers, then put that to one side. The more no's you get, the closer you get to put it to one side. That's all sales rhetoric. That's far, you know, the market's now moved on so much further than using that old school psychology, which a lot of companies, believe you me, it's infested in the sales industry, that it's all about the bottom line and getting sales. We don't work from that perspective. We work from a relationship, trust-based, very much in tune with managing your customer in the terms of a customer service type approach. And I'll touch on that a bit later. But let me explain the millennial market. So the millennial market, they know nothing about really the art of sales unless they've really got into it and chose to do it. What they understand is more demo-based, internet-based, social media, There's terms like social selling, all different types of terms coming out for sales today. But most of them want to operate behind an email, or they want to pull leads through digital marketing. But you know, the stats that are there that shows, if you look at the industries and you say, how much do I have to spend on digital marketing to generate leads? It's a phenomenal amount of money. All right. So really, what's really happening here? All right. And then the churn rates are going through the roof. So organizations are saying, well, you know, we can't get the clients that we want. We can't get the candidates that we want. Why can't we get the candidates that we want? So the churn rate is when companies take people on and they don't stay long. So they leave. All right. And that's what the churn rate is. And companies are really experiencing that in a big way. And then the traditional market, the old school, who understand the art of selling, now do not understand the technology. So they've got all the sales skills, the art of sales, the techniques and so on, but they don't have the technology to make it happen. So what happened from sort of like the late 90s, early 2000s, where the millennials came into market, there become this gap, and there's still a void there. And what we look to do is we look to bring that void together. So you get the old school with the new school, and that's what we call someone's thing's hissing. Could you just turn off your microphone, please? Someone's thing is hissing. I'm taking it. It's R. R is 1 moment, please. Who's that? You're hissing. You just logged on. Rich, your phone. Can you put it on mute, please? Thank you. All right. So new age selling. All right. So this is what we call new age selling. Merging the two, the old school with the new school. So you're not just using social media, but you're also not scared to pick up a telephone. You also understand how to use social media, that it works effectively for you. In my time, social media was a box of cards that you kept. You kept the name of the prospects, and you had to write the details on with your clients and so on. So you manage them in a box. If you think of that today as a CRM system, all right, which is what a lot of companies work with now, your database, all right, was a file of fax, or one of these handheld things. Please, someone keeps turning on their microphone. Rich, could you turn off your microphone, please? It's disturbing everybody else, and it's not appreciated. Rich, could you turn off your microphone, please? Thank you. All right. So this is what we're saying. So we're looking at the millennium versus the traditional. So we're now looking at a new age sell with the formulas and the models that come with it, where you can earn and generate a lot of money. And we're working with employers to reduce those churn rates, to make sure that we're able to create a new age type of salesperson, somebody who's able to adapt with the millennial side, but also have the art and sophistication to be able to close those deals as well, and do it in a very systematic way where they're understanding what they're doing. They're not just doing it for the sake of it. They're doing it because it's something that they believe in and they want to build a career out of this profession. Disrupting the market. So what is it we're talking about with disrupting market? We think 95% of sales organizations are actually doing things in the wrong way. And that puts a lot, for my view, that puts a lot of people off. Right? Because when you go in and you're told, here's a script, follow this, do that, all right, fair enough. There's some elements of that that's basic. But why am I reading the script? What does the script give me? Where's the psychology in the script? Explain it to me. All right, why are you not letting me see this as a career? Why are you not supporting my career? Why are you not sitting down with me and coaching me into an element where I'm able to start thinking, right, I want that big house, I want that Mercedes, and I know what I need to achieve on a week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis to achieve that goal, that vision. Yeah, work with me on that vision. So when I go into work, I come in with a vision and a day-to-day basis where I'm working towards that vision. Because those visionary objectives allow me to find a mission. Missions break down into your objectives, where most people start on a yearly basis. Then you break your objectives down into targets, which are monthly. Then you break your monthly targets into a rota, which is weekly. And then you break it into your tasks, which is daily. So your day-to-day activities actually allow you to work towards your vision. The majority of people out there, they're like sardines. I've done research on so many times where I've taken students out and I say, right, let's look at the city of London particularly. And people are walking in, they're like sardines. Everybody's on clockwork. I'd hate to look at London through a glass ceiling at 8 o'clock to 8:30 in the morning and watch all the robots go into work. Now, no disrespect to the robots, but salespeople, I like to think, are a bit more affluent and we're more creative. The other side, what we're bringing in, because of the market where it is at the moment with remote working, we're going to encourage you to become more entrepreneurial. Right, entrepreneurial, because to work from home, it's not easy. You know, you hear people working from home, they got health issues, they got this issues, that. I'm like, wow, if that was in our time, they'd fall apart. In my time, if you didn't get a deal, you walked in the office, they'd have you stand up on a chair, one leg, put your finger on the tip of your nose. It was embarrassing. Today, that would be seen as bullying and harassment. Right? But because you did not want to fail, the whole focus was not failure. Failure didn't exist. It was about succeeding. Now, I do believe there's more humanistic ways to be able to create that, and that's why I've dedicated my life's work towards it. So what we bring to you today is an opportunity to get into sales, but develop a career, more importantly, in sales, to become a master, to become a leader, to become a seasoned professional, so you can walk tall. It's not just a means to an end, which is how people see the sales profession. And we're looking to disrupt that by putting people into this who work differently and who work more from a relationship trust-based selling, which is where I work towards my PhD in that, from a very empiricist perspective. I work on mainly empirical research. I don't work on a lot of the positivist approach, because that, to me, there's a lot of theories, a lot of extrapolation. I work on the facts. What are the facts? All right, let's work with the facts and let's apply the facts, and then we can start what we call constructivist theory. We can start putting it together and applying it in a way that we're able to reshape and rechange the environment. Because most of the market is research on corporates, obviously people have a very corporate type mentality in it. And there's an element of that. But what about the 4.4 million micros who want to grow their business, SMEs, especially places like Silicon Shortage, where they're earning millions of pounds and they're still micro organizations and struggling to apply the sales craft in a way that can grow their businesses to another level. They're getting a lot of investment capital through venture capitalists and so on. But at the same time, they're struggling to get the right type of salespeople. So really what we're looking at doing is coming and becoming a disruptor and creating a type of salesperson that is significant, that makes an impact, that performs to such a level in a very, very quick period of time. And what we have done to do that is we've put a program together, which we've developed over a series of years. It's called the Elite Graduate Pathway, but we just say for now the graduate program. And what we do, we take you through stages. And we first of all, when you leave today, those of you who want to come on the scheme and see it is a scheme, we do have the jobs there, and we've recruited you from the jobs we're applying. But to my understanding, some of you, the CVs were there, but the fact that you applied for the roles that we put out, we do have a recruitment arm, is that you may have lacked something, but Red Agents have seen that potentially the potential is there. I believe you've had conversations with Red Agents as well. So how do we get you up to speed where you can go out and get a profession and then place you into the vacancies that we have? So we put you into a fast track program. From here, it's a very simple program. Stage one is we do a sales personality test with you just to see what type of sales characters you have. It's artificial neuroscientific artificial intelligence program. So some of you may have done psychometrics, but it's more advanced than psychometrics. We work with a company called Smart, who really are in tune to the technological industry when it comes to doing lots of artificial intelligence or neuroscientific testing. So we put you through that sales personality test, and we put you onto a free program. It's mainly video based, of videos of the sales masters who are talking to you about everything from empathy to relationships to how to engage, how to make the right phone call, how to work with social media, the whole 9 yards. All right, so you get a basic foundation of sales, right? Because that's the key. How can you go into a profession and you don't even have the basics? It's very difficult. Now you've got to build that on the job. So we do that for you for free. It's not overly difficult. Like I said, it's video based. There is a little bit of assessment, but that's more to make sure you're capturing what's going on in the videos. But it's not intensive. Although the program itself, as it goes on, gets more and more intensive, as you'll see. And stage two, we look at, we put you on a video-based program again, customer service for inbound, outbound selling, but also customer service. So you think of customer service. Customer service is a part of sales, just like recruitment is a part of HR. But for some reason, recruitment's gone on its own pathway and has been detached from HR. And customer service has gone on its own pathway and been detached from sales. So we want you to embrace your customers, seek to build a relationship with your customers. So you're not just looking to get the deal, but you're looking to create a relationship. It's like meeting a partner. You know, you go out, you date, you could talk all night about yourself, but you know, those females on the platform today, well, sure, when a gentleman talks about himself so much, you know, Are you really interested? You know, people like to be heard. People like to be spoken. Or if you're building a friend and your friend, you're a good listener, you'll find you get a better friendship than just talking at people all the time. So communication. So effective communication. What does that consist of? What is phonetics? What is inflection? You know, tones and patterns and voices. Getting the basics. So you get to understand that we're selling every day. If people don't like you, you're not going to get anywhere in life. So how do you get people to like you? You communicate, and you communicate in an effective way. That's selling, right? But because sales is not synonymous with communication until people start really going into it, they say, oh, no, they call it everything else but selling. But it is selling. So we're selling every day. You go into a job interview. Yeah, how do you prepare yourself for that job interview? You have to sell yourself. But you're not taught these things. You're not taught that, you know, when you go in, you have to sell yourself. Oh, yeah, you got to sell. How do I do that then? Because when I look at interview skills and techniques, it doesn't talk much about selling. It doesn't teach me sales psychology. It doesn't teach me if that person's answering a particular question, all right, and the reason why he's answered that question, I'm able to give an appropriate answer. All right, and if he's, you know, by the type of question that they're giving, because there's a psychological process that people go through in interviews. And if I can underpin the basics of that psychology, I understand the appropriate answer to give. So we teach you that in a very basic way. And then we put you through an IT software sales skill test. And the reason for that is we primarily focus on the SaaS market. The SaaS market is software as a service, or IT software sales, which is blowing up at the moment. And there's a big demand for professionally driven salespeople. Really, there's a massive demand there. So we really, that's the market with our niche, and we really focus on that. So you'll find the job roles that we advertise are primarily in that sector. And what we do, once you go into an organization, the CV is not so important to us. Although the CV is part of it, there are the organizations that we work with, because we have a relationship with them, they want you to put together what's called a sales plan. So once we place you in the organization, we create a sales plan with you. We work with you together to create a sales plan for 12 months. What is it I'm going to do in this next 12 months? And in the next 12 months to achieve these targets. Right? And once you've achieved those targets, we have an agreement with the organization that you start on a minimum of 30,000 plus a year, plus bonuses and commission. We negotiate that on your behalf. And some people start on more because they're delivering more. So we work it on a ratio, a performance ratio. And the more that you deliver in that first year, the more that you're going to get what I call expenses or salary that you're going to get after the 12 months. But that's worked on a sales plan. The reason why we put the sales plan is so that it's transparent to you, that you know what you're doing and we know where you're at, and it allows you to be a bit more creative, take some ownership, and we're also able to monitor and measure you along the way, what we call KPIs, or key performance indicators. And the financial planning. How many of you actually financially plan? How many of you know what you need to earn in your lifetime to achieve your goals? You know, financial literacy is so poor, especially in the current economy where things are getting tougher and tougher. House prices are going up, inflation's kicking through. Most people don't know what inflation is. They're going to work. They don't understand economics, basic economics. But yet still it's in front of their faces every day. But society's talking above their head. We get you grounded so you understand what's going on in the environment around you. You'll work on yourself internally, personally develop yourself, so you're able to connect with out there. Because to exist, one needs to coexist. So we get you thinking internally about yourself, your own identity, your self-worth, your self-respect, your goal, your attitude, all of that we get working, the neuroscience is working. And then we look at the environment around you. How am I going to go out and get mine? How am I going out and get my share? Not moan and groan and become a victim. Oh, I can't get it. I went to uni and this is what happened that one. I'm not to say any of you are, but I'm just saying I hear it a lot. I can't get the job I want. Well, you can't get the job I want. It doesn't stop you from making a life for yourself. Yeah, get on purpose. Go out and look for success. The key word is success. It's not all the time we get what we want in life. Yeah, well, you're all old enough to know that. And the focus really is about achieving, all right, and really working through. So we get you to become what we call self-reflective practitioners. That's the focus. And we do that through structured financial planning and sales targets, really tuning you in so you know what you want to achieve over the next 10 to 20 years. And yeah, it's 10 to 20 years because it's a vision. And then we break it down so you know daily, year by year, how much you need to increase your income and so on. Stage 3, we have the 18-hour sales mastery, which is a program between me and a gentleman I work with called Bob Everington. You get one of his books as well. It's called Cold Calling for Chickens. He's wrote several books on Amazon. Those books are in the top sellers in their category. You can Google him as well. We have the principles of business, which is teaching you the underpinning values of business. Really understanding what is the process, but what are market characteristics, what is innovation and growth, sales and marketing, and also budgets. We need to understand budgets and work budgets, and understand the company you're working with, because most people working in the company, the reason why they don't strive in the company, because they don't really understand company dynamics. If you go into a company and you understand company dynamics, you find very quickly you're going to be going to management, and you're going to be working your all up to a regional management, national, and so on, and to a board level very, very quickly, because you understand the corporate dynamics. So it's really getting you to underpin that. And then underpinning the sales techniques and practices. Another area we teach is social media for business. Well, how does social media for business work? The essence of it. I'm really focused on that and looking at those techniques and driving it through. Digital marketing. We will give you a unit in digital marketing as well, and managing responsible selling and strategic planning for business. So you can see those stages, you're going through them over the year. They're very unit based, and it's in times and times, dates, and deadlines will be set, so you know what it is. It's not academically driven. We need to understand it. It's mainly practical. So it's about building portfolios as you're going along, as you're working, because you're working at the same time. Remember that. So it's more gathering evidence and then explaining what you've gathered and linking the theory to the practical that you're doing. So it's not as intensive as I've got the exam coming up. It's not like that. It's more about what you're doing and making sure that whilst you're doing it, that you're capturing the information whilst you're doing it, and understanding where you're at. Because like I said, we're looking to fast track you into what we call sales professionals and masters eventually. And then we run a series of seminars over the year as well. And the seminars that we run are the needs for building relationships, how to build sales relationships, developing and sustaining relationships, how does building sales relationships influence performance, and relationship and trust-based selling. And this is where I'd come into my element, because this is my core market and it's what I'm known for on the academic side, in the field as well, but I'm also known for a lot more on the practical side at the grassroots of selling. But on the academic side, it's what I'm known for and challenging all the time to get universities to adapt this and really get people engaged, so to speak, with selling in universities, colleges and schools. Really get people. The word entrepreneurship to me runs along selling, because you've got no customers, you've got no business. But a lot of entrepreneurship, you find people want to talk everything about entrepreneurship, and the bit about sales is one little bit there, and they talk about, oh, you do this in sales, you do that in sales. Oh, but I've got to do it. No, get it real. Focus on your sales first, because if it ain't selling, it ain't worth doing. Right? So if you learn how to sell it, then you might find you've got a business. That's the reality of it, and that's why 9 out of 10 businesses fail, because they can't sell. All right, that's the reality of it. People say it's fine. I've done the research, believe you me, and a lot of it, people think it's financial. It's not. All right, and it's part of financial. But if you're selling, money's coming in, right? You're generating revenue, and then you're creating jobs. You're creating growth in the business. So salespeople do a hell of a lot, but yet still, for some reason, in this country, they're looked at negatively. Without salespeople, we wouldn't have companies. That's the reality of it, because they're the ones that bring in the revenue to employ people and pay people wages. And then we run a weekly workshop on what's your problem. So you're going to experience a lot of problems. You're going to experience a lot of rejections. All right. So what we do, we call you in once a week online, and we say, what's your problem? And you bring out all your problems. Oh, the world's falling apart. Oh, I can't get this. Oh, I'm trying to get this hidden up to cover these objections. I can't get around it. And we show you solutions on how to overcome that. So it's a consistent improvement. It works a bit like ISO. I audit ISO, International Standards Organization, which is like 9001, those of you who know, 14001, 45001, and the likes. And it's all about continuous professional improvement or continuous improvement. And ISO says, and I'll finish on this note, things will go wrong, right, with automatic, but it's how you track and monitor the things that go wrong to improve them continuously. Right? And that's all that makes quality management work. So when you hear about total quality management is not about perfection. You're expecting things to go wrong, but how do you manage that process? How do you manage that process so that you can improve on it? And once you're improved on it, you're on the right track. So that's really where we're coming from. We're going to be working with you consistently, and we will be there right away for many, many years in your lives to be able to develop you to the peak, so to speak, and really disrupt the industries, because we're looking at working with India, and we've got a crop that's come through. You see some of the videos with award winners, and a lot of them are now moving into management and higher levels than that. So there's one particular selling properties in Mayfair and Belgravia. He had an MA in politics. He was a nightmare when he came in, but we managed to turn him around. So, you know, it's really getting you to understand that. So eventually in the next sort of 5-10 years, the language we're speaking now will become synonymous with selling. All right, that's the objective. Yeah, we're creating, we're really looking at changing that so people see sales as a profession, because it is a profession. And on that note, I'll leave it and I'm open to questions. So who'd like to go first? You can either raise your hands or just speak openly. Completely up to yourself. Hello? Hello? Anybody for questions? Anyone for questions? I'll say it once. I'll say it twice. I'll say it 3 times. Okay, what happens from now? Red agents will contact you. They'll those who want to come on program will link you up with the fast track to professional selling. It doesn't take long to do. If you put your mind to it, people go through it in days. Some takes a week. Maximum I've seen is 2 weeks if people are working. Once you've gone through that, we bring you on program. We start thinking about placing you into one of the vacancies that we have. You'll do a one-on-one with myself, and we'll start looking at placing you into an organization. All right. So if there's no questions, I'm going to call it a day. You're welcome to speak to Red Agents. He'll be following through with you to get your feedback and everything else. And we'll see where it's at from there. I look forward to seeing any one of you. And I assure you, come on this program, you will see that we will change your life. Without a doubt, we will change your life. Okay. And if there's any more further information you need, please do tap in. We have a lot of information in terms of what it is that we deliver, and we're happy to send that out to you. Sometimes I'm a bit cautious because it looks like a lot, but bear in mind, please understand when we do send that information, it's practical. Okay, so really understand that. And I really do pray that you go on and really become real high performers, which is what we're looking for, high performance salespeople. So all the best. If there's no questions, I'm going to call it a day, and hopefully we'll see you in the next round. All the best. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.